Hello everyone, welcome to yet another SDL Foundation video. Today, we will be sharing our exclusive findings regarding the more obscure side of Splatoon 1 unused and development content. Unlike other videos, we will not be focusing on already widely available public knowledge, but instead focus on our new discoveries, obscure topics, and other interesting stuff. Here is a table of all of the content that will be covered in this video. This is going to be a long ride, so get your popcorn ready and let's get started. We will start by going over some debug functions that we restored in the game. Is squid jump keep? This is a function that was most likely used to test the squid hopping animation during early game development, by forcing the player to momentarily lose their jump in order to trigger the transition animation. Besides that, the reason of its existence is up for debate. Is new method test pause a player's amiibo gear? This is a method that was used to assess the look of amiibo gear on NPCs during late development of the game. Interestingly, it only seems to pick one fixed set of amiibo gear, shown on the screen. It is very likely that they were testing this particular set because it is oversized. Is enable sniper camera forecast common? This is another Boolean function that checks if the debug feature for chargers is enabled. Normally, it is enabled by default for all chargers. However, if you disable it, you can see that the crosshair of scope chargers has some pretty interesting movement mechanics. AGL Debug Bounding Box View. This is a debug feature of the graphics library used in Splatoon discovered by the SDL Foundation several months ago. What is interesting about this feature is that its implementation is different in every game it's used on. Originally discovered in Mario Kart 8, the bounding boxes previewed by this feature, which are the boxes around the player, very much differ from the ones in Splatoon as shown. There are leftover Splat Fest files that exist in the pre-launch review editions of Splatoon, which were given out before the game's release to various players in order to assess the game before the official release. These files could be recovered because the editions used separate Splat Fest servers from the actual game, and those servers were still up at the time of dumping the files. Furthermore, the Fest files appear to be an in-development version of the Rice vs. Bread Splat Fest. Unlike the actual Fest, it contains a lot of broken English and unused Splat Fest teas. Additionally, this is considered the first ever Fest that has ever happened because it uses a Fest ID of 1. This means that this is the data of the first ever Splatfest that was created for Splatoon. The Splatfest was never actually used, but was probably a test conducted internally by the developers. You are now going to hear all of the dialogue from the Splatfest, word for word. I love rice. Huh? Do you ever eat bread? Yeah, but I love rice much. Wow, I can't understand. Rice is soul food to me. I eat it every day. Unbelievable. Let's eat rice and be energetic. Let's vote rice or bread. Right now! Fest has come. Let's join battle. Rice team win! OMG. Congratulations! See you next Fest. Bread team win! OMG. Congratulations! See you next Fest. Splatoon 1 Map Editor. This image shows the scene and map editor the developers used to develop the first Splatoon. Player Viewer Scene. The developers used a scene called Player Viewer to make renders of Inklings for promotionals in the first and second game. This is a recovered image that shows how it looks like in the first game. Early Game Development. This is an interesting image related to early game development. Further context is unknown. Pay close attention. Notice that Inklings had more hairstyles planned than in the final game. There are a lot of small details in this image, so feel free to pause the video now to better observe it. Old Plaza Stairs. In case you were not aware, the plaza in Splatoon 1 has some unused collisions below the rightmost stairs that appear to be an inaccessible bench. These collisions, and many more which are not relevant to this, were discovered by the SDL Foundation and later associated with this image. The recovered development image shows that the stairs in the release game have a more gentle slope than what was previously in development, confirming our suspicions about the unused collisions. Unknown Test Field. This is a recovered image of an unidentified test field, which is simply a development map used to test certain functionality. No further information regarding the test field is known. A second test field with the full map layout is shown in just a moment. Model Editor. This is the model editor the developers used to create the iconic models of the original Splatoon. Unfortunately, we were unable to increase the quality of the recovered image. Scrapped game covers. These are some official covers for the game that were originally proposed, but later scrapped. Unknown Test Field 2. This is the second unidentified test field whose layout was recovered. In development, Squid Sisters. Originally, Callie and Mary had swapped positions. Internally in the game, Callie is referred to as the left idol, and Mary is referred to as the right idol. However, as depicted by various in-development Squid Sister images that we have recovered, such as this one, they had initially switched positions. In development, Mahi Mahi Resort. As shown by a Game Explained video, Mahi Mahi Resort originally had additional ramps that do not exist in the final game. Old Player Guide. There was an old crosshair that the player had early in development, likely a placeholder for the final one. Early Anchovy Games. Anchovy Games had an early version of it that can be found in the form of a poster on the actual map which depicts its layout. Additionally, we have recovered a low-resolution image of its model. Unused sound effects. In the files of the game and in external sources, we have recovered some files from the game's very early stages of development. This includes the tofu phase of the game, where instead of inklings, the playable characters were blocks. Consequently, we have reason to believe that these files have existed since a very early demo of it. The audio clips will be played. We will start with the first mode, which is sort of a tower defense mode that was intended to be playable but was scrapped very early in development. This mode is internally named DefenseTower. The DefenseTower object is supposed to be the actual object being defended. Its model is currently being displayed on the screen. The asset was restored from Splatoon 2 because for some reason the file for it was missing from Splatoon 1, but was somehow left in Splatoon 2's files. It has a property for its health and the rate at which it restores it. Surprisingly, the properties still exist in the game files. This mode consists of 3 actors, which you can think of as objects and areas. Defense Tower object, Medic object, and Alarm area. 2 states have been recovered from the Defense Tower object, State Alive and State Dead. As the name suggests, they indicate the current health of the tower. Something interesting to note is that it used to start recovery 1 second after it stopped taking damage from enemies. Unfortunately, we generally do not know the exact details of what happens in their state machine because they were cut very early during development. However, we do have some information for medic objects and alarm areas. Alarm area would alert players about any events starting to take place in enemy areas, medic areas, and presumably the area itself. Unfortunately, once again, we do not have a lot of information for medic objects or areas as they similarly have missing code. The only thing we know about them is that they would break exactly 1 second after being attacked. A clip will now be displayed which shows the amount of damage the defense tower can take before it is destroyed. The original model being shown was not used for this clip. the second unused mode, we found some text inside of Walleye Warehouse's map files that hints at something similar to Clam Blitz, which was added in Splatoon 2, but with some slight differences. The text that we found will now be displayed on the screen. Even if the enemy scores a goal, you can stop them by putting a bomb back in. When you put a bomb in the enemy goal, it will start counting the activation. That is all that is known for this mode. No code related to the mode exists in the game. There are two other corrupted text lines that are probably related to it, but we have not been able to recover them. Expect a follow-up video for these two modes in the future. Now, let's get to the really spicy stuff. There are 12 unused enemies in Splatoon 1 that we have been able to restore, each with its own unique behavior. We will be showing all of this. However, the display will not be accurate to their original models because restoration of their original models is impossible. We will be showcasing them with fake models. For starters, we have Enemy Ball Fake. This is an unused version of Enemy Ball with a few differences. It is unable to paint while it is rolling. Damaging it will make it place a bit of paint on its position. It can be defeated with approximately 2 shots, and it will not deal contact damage to you while it is on enemy ink. However, if it is not on enemy ink, it will deal contact damage to you. Next up, we have Enemy Ball Real. It is another unused version of Enemy Ball with a few differences. It always paints while it's rolling, its rolling cannot be stopped, it has very high HP, damaging it about 5 times will trigger a fleeing state where it runs away very quickly, and if you get a certain distance away from it in this state or wait enough time, it will calm down and return to normal. Coming into contact with Enemy Ball Real will always deal damage to you. Also, we have Enemy Bubble, which is pretty dissimilar to the previous ones. It is an early version of Enemy Tacopter, with the difference being that it can be defeated in 2 shots. For the Bubble category, there is also Enemy Bubble Fix. It is yet another early version of Enemy Tacopter, which mostly acts the same. However, it cannot be defeated, it will not move away from its position, and it will always paint at its position. We also have Enemy Garo Zako Test. This is a test enemy version of Enemy Garo Zako. It shoots bullets at a very rapid rate, and while these bullets may not deal much damage, if you're caught in the line of fire, you may be splattered very easily. It follows the player very slowly, and will be splattered after about 30 shots due to having high HP. Now, for something really peculiar, we have Enemy Samba. This enemy only moves in a straight line, and coming into contact with this enemy will instantly splat you. Enemy Samba will be defeated after about 28 shots due to having very high HP. Following, we have Enemy Supershot Man. This enemy has the unique ability of jumping before it shoots. Moreover, it can shoot 3 times. Has a cooldown of approximately 3 seconds before shooting again. The ink-tastic will automatically splat you. It can be pushed, and it is defeated after about 4 shots. In the same category, we have the Enemy Supershot Tank. While it acts a bit similar to Enemy Supershot Man, it doesn't turn at all, shoots ink-tastic bullets at a cooldown, and cannot be splatted or pushed at all. Moving on, the Enemy Tornado Man is, for the most part, an early version of Enemy Gako Tornado. The enemy looks at the player when placing a tornado. Hiding will make it lose attention, and stop placing tornadoes until you stop hiding. The tornado is placed where you're looking instead of on your current position. Similarly to most previous enemies, it can be pushed and will be defeated after 5 shots. What is more, we have the Enemy Weak Point. It is an early version of Enemy Boss Weak Point. Coming into contact with it damages you, it can heal itself, and it will be defeated after approximately 13 shots. It also always paints under its position. It is able to turn to face your direction at all times. We will now showcase the 2 most interesting enemies that we are keeping for last, Hammer Guy and Jumping Guy. Let's start with Jumping Guy. Jumping Guy contains an object called Test Object Boss Tama Bank 00. The object, when ran into, will push you. The test object also has a bouncing animation. The enemy will always jump. It also has a very high amount of HP, so it is very difficult to defeat this enemy. If you are crushed 2 times or come into contact with this enemy 2 times, you will be splatted. Additionally, it also has screen bending capabilities that break your entire screen. And finally, Hammer Guy. This enemy appears to paint a large circle around it when it attacks. Standing within this circle will cause you to be splatted. However, if you jump as the attack happens, you will avoid it entirely. This makes it evident the attack is a large shockwave that you're supposed to dodge. While this enemy likely had planned functionality for throwing hammers, we were unable to restore any further functionality of it. Outroduction. Thanks for sticking with us in this video. We have a lot more planned to show in the future, so you know what you have to do if you want to stay updated. Make sure to join our Discord server in the description and take a look at our website to find out more about who we are. And we will see you again soon!